Welcome to another episode of STO Nation, a production of Park Media. Before I introduce today's guest, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share, and leave a 5-star review. And if you find this podcast useful in any way and want to pay us the ultimate compliment, head on over to our Patreon page where you can subscribe to be a Classic, Stealth, or Beast Mode subscriber. All right, welcome you guys to STO Nation. I appreciate you guys coming on. This episode is kind of cool because I get to be able to talk to another person, Cei, who is going to pick up a Storyteller Beast Mode next week. And he had some questions, and so I was able to get a bunch of people together that are owners. And hopefully between all of us, we'll be able to answer your questions. And that way, when you go to pick up your Storyteller next week, you'll be a little bit more confident. So, but anyways, let's go ahead and go around and introduce ourselves. I'm just gonna, the way I see you, I'm just gonna go that way. So, Tim, you want to lead us off?
Oh, I guess I'm first. Tim Thorne. I'm based in Sevierville, Tennessee. I have a Stealth that I've had for almost a year now, and it's got 30,000 miles on it. So I've put a lot of time and miles in the van, and pretty much lived kind of part time, but have a cabin here in Tennessee that I kind of base myself out of, and just think this is awesome that you're doing this, because I wish I'd have had this a year ago, and I didn't know about STO, didn't know about the Facebook. So you're really getting a great opportunity here, Cei, to kind of learn a lot more about what you should expect from a dealer. I never even went back to the dealer once I got it. Never really, just went through it. Hey, thank you, and drove off. So this is good.
All right, May, go ahead.
Hey, my name's May. I have a 2021 Stealth. We picked it up in June of last year. Haven't quite put 35,000 miles on it. We're just shy of 10,000. But having the STO Nation podcast and seasoned veterans was, like Tim said, super helpful. And also learning about all the resources as time goes on, and inevitably things happen. It's super duper awesome community.
Right.
So,
And Todd, you want to?
Yeah, Todd Tanner. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah. I have a 21 Classic, and I've owned it since August of last year. I have a family of 5, and we don't obviously live in the van, but it is my daily driver. So I put a fair amount of miles on it, and I bought mine actually used with 1,000 miles on it, and so I didn't get the dealer experience at all, and basically had to learn everything on my own, and did a lot of research, and then found the Facebook page, which was a great resource. I'm not a Facebook person. I just happened to come across it, and it's the one and only Facebook page I participate in. So, and the STO Nation site as well. So great resources.
So Todd, just out of curiosity, the people that you bought it from, they didn't like show you how to work the systems, or?
Never actually even met the person in person. It was solely over. We got connected through a friend and talked on the phone and through email, and made the purchase via bank transfer, and never met the individual. Great person. We have a great friendship, but never met.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I picked it up. I test drove it and picked it up and drove it home from Sun Valley, Idaho, without ever knowing anything about it.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty audacious these days.
Seriously.
Yeah.
baptism by fire.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. So is it Hugh or is it L? What do you want?
My actual name is Hugh, but if you were to see me on Facebook and or on any of the forums, I go by El Tiburon, which is basically the name of my van. And the reason it's the name, which is the name of the van, is I had a gray Rebel that had a shark fin on the top and license plates. Actually, I have them right here that say. So I'm transitioning from a rebel to a storyteller, which is also going to be named El Tiburon, which will also have a shark fin on it, and which will also have those license plates on it. So, so on the Facebook forums, I go by El Tiburon because anonymity, blah blah blah, whatever, right? And it's
Gotcha.
fun. It's just fun. Um, and I surf a lot, and so it's the perfect mechanism for doing that. And so it's kind of a gag.
Gotcha.
So, but you can call me Hugh.
Hugh?
Hugh.
Oh,
H-U-G-H.
Hugh. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Hugh, do you mind just doing a quick introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. Live in California. Have put overall about 40,000 miles in travel on various sorts of sprinter vehicles. So the first one was a Revel, which I bought at the start of the pandemic. I put 35,000 miles on it. I went to go to have a mod done over at Agile. Somebody was there with a storyteller. I stepped into it and I was like, oh my God, it's like a sound recording booth. It's so quiet. I need that in my life. I'm spending so much time. I'm spending so much time in this thing. And so I started doing the whole used, looking for a used one. And I found a classic, what they're calling a classic beast build out. So somebody bought a classic and it basically did all the mods to make it a beast. Um, and so that's basically what I now have. And I bought that used, and I've had it now 3 months, and it's been awesome. It's a great vehicle.
Cool. Sweet. And see, just in case you don't know, I have a 2020 and I've picked it up in September 2020, I think, or August 2020. I don't know, somewhere around there. And I have over 60,000 miles on mine. So
Nice.
I think between the five of us, you have a decent pool of experience to
Yeah,
pull
yes.
from.
A
So
wide
You
array of
win.
experiences for sure.
yeah. So you want to do a quick introduction and then we can
Sure.
go ahead and help you out?
Sure. Well, my name is Cei Hoover. I live in Ouray, Colorado, with my wife, and yeah, we're anxiously awaiting our new beast come Monday. We're supposed to be picking that up down in Albuquerque, and we actually, we had put a deposit, down last end of last September, and we initially were going to get a classic. And kind of beastify it. We're actually really close to adrenaline vans in Montrose, Colorado. We're going to have them, do some of the mods and things like that. But then I happened to be on, the Facebook group, one afternoon, I guess last week, and somebody posted, "Hey, there's I have a good lead on possible beast availability," and I happened to call, and it was, I was pretty skeptical, to be honest, and called him up, and he was like, no, this, yeah, it actually fell through with the person, and so jumped on it, and very very excited. One of the factors, obviously for us, with we were thinking we were going to get 2022 initially, and then we were told it was probably going to be a 23, and then with the price increase of a classic, and then compared to 2022 models, we were just like, well, at the end of the day, we don't really know what that increase is going to be yet, so let's just pull the trigger and do this one. But we have a fair amount of experience traveling, and my wife and I are touring musicians. So we were actually based out of Nashville, Tim. So for a long time we
All right.
have Tennessee roots. We both went to Belmont University there, and
Okay. Yeah. Very familiar with
worked
Belmont.
there.
Yeah. Used to
Okay.
live in
Yeah,
Nashville too. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
we, I worked in the music biz, and my wife was a music teacher for Nashville Public Schools, and then we quit our jobs and set out on the road and toured full time for 6.5 years, all over the country. We had a Winnebago Era, on a 2013 Sprinter chassis. So we actually put on a little over 250,000 miles on that vehicle, and been to 49 of the 50 states. Hawaii obviously being the only one we haven't haven't been to because you can't drive there, but so yeah, we're excited. We sold that vehicle back in October to help with the down payment for this new one, and yeah, we actually went to expo in Flagstaff last fall, and got to see Storyteller in person. And I mean, I was already sold because I had been drilling on them on them online for a little while, and my wife was like, no, you have to see one in person before you're allowed to buy one. So went there, and just started the ball rolling. So we're exceedingly excited for it.
Cool. So let's go ahead, and you want to just fire off some questions, and the panel
I
will
mean,
try to answer to the best of our ability.
absolutely. I mean, for me, it's interesting. Obviously, having the background, with at least driving a Sprinter before, I think is and living on the road and things like that is clearly a good foundation to have. But what I'm definitely with all of the updates that have happened since the 2013 chassis compared to a new where ours was on dualies with no four-wheel drive, things like that. So, yeah, and being in the mountains and stuff like that, sometimes made life interesting. But just kind of learning any tidbits on, I guess, the ins and outs of four-wheel drive. I've obviously done a lot of reading, keep up to date, on the forums, and have perused through, different, the STO Nation site, and read common problems, and learning about kind of the fickle nature of, the 4x4 and getting it in and out of gear and stuff like that. But honestly, it's at this juncture with us picking it up on Monday, my main questions off the get go, were like, what issues people have ran into when they were first getting it that they might have circumvented if they had addressed those with their dealer ahead of time, like before they drove it off the lot, and it's like, oh, this would have been an easy thing for them to take care of. But now we live 5 hours away from the closest dealer, so we're hoping that we can address those. So I guess that would be kind of my first question, is if there's anything folks discovered like really early on, that might be helpful insight to talk to dealers about.
Yeah. Go ahead, Hugh.
I'll answer a few items. So I took delivery of my Rebel. So one, bring your phone and record everything, right? Because they're going to go over everything. Even though there's lots of videos online, just record everything. It's just kind of handy to be there and look at it. I think that's really important. I think the second thing is, if they haven't already, they're going to hit you with the question about a warranty. And you need to be prepared to answer. You have like 30 days to basically answer that question, whether or not you want to have the warranty. There are a variety of different opinions. My opinion is great for resale, absolutely worthless piece of paper, other than that. Because it's gotten so popular, it's impossible to get into a place to get the warranty work done, especially if you live 5 hours away. It's really difficult. So it's up to you. It does help from a resale perspective, absolutely. Like, people want to know if they're going to buy your van off you, like, is it warranted? But actually getting work out of them, no. I think and that adds on to the last tip, where I live in a boating community. These things are rolling boats. And so anything that you can do around a marina, they've seen it. They know batteries, they know inverters, they know it all. And you can get it done a lot cheaper and a lot faster than actually waiting to get your warranty work done.
Yeah,
so I think I'll add a little counterpoint to that. There's the warranty on the STO portion of the van, and then there's the Mercedes warranty, right?
Right.
And the Mercedes warranty, it's the standard 3-year, 36,000.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a 5-year, 50,000, and up from there. And that portion of the 5-year, say 50,000 upgrade, you can negotiate on that. So I had a 2019 Sprinter previous to my Storyteller, and I had that warranty thrown in at my sales price because it was pre-COVID and they were offering great incentives. And so that's a negotiable component. And I agree with the dealer, the difficulty getting into a dealer for warranty work, but I think it's also very demographic where you're located, because various parts of the country you can get in. And I think the active dealers, the proactive dealers, are making adjustments to facilitate getting in for warranty work. And just in my local area, I've seen a massive change from 6 months ago to now for getting in for warranty work on your Sprinter or even service, right? It's completely different than it was 6 months ago. And so there is an added value for the resale for sure. And if you can negotiate the extended warranty in at the dealer, you could get it for from 0 to whatever the standard rate is on the warranty. And also you can add that extended warranty on the Mercedes chassis at any time up till when you hit that warranty mileage or time frame.
Yeah, I will add on to the Mercedes warranty. Since you're, I wouldn't say close, but I know Warner Vans, they sell that extended warranty. Like I can't remember the years, but it's like up to 100,000 instead of 36,000.
Yeah, 7-year,
7 year,
100,000.
yeah, that's what it is. They sell it for a little over 1,000, which I think is the cheapest. So if you're
Okay.
gonna go that route for the Mercedes chassis, then I would
Mm-hmm.
definitely shop around and price
Right.
compare, because the warranty is a Mercedes warranty and it'll be accepted at any Mercedes dealership. So like, why would you go to California and pay like $2,500 for it? You know what I mean? For the
Right. No,
exact same
absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely. No, I mean, one of the biggest issues we ran in, too, with our the old Sprinter was the good old DEF, issues and sensors going out. We were up in Alaska and, had sensors failing on us and, only like 10 starts remaining and, no dealers anywhere in sight and fun things like that.
Sure.
So, and we had just crossed over the 100,000-mile warranty, like literally by
Oh
like
no.
literally like a couple hundred miles. And so
Oh my
that
goodness.
was, that
That's
was, that was
crazy.
quite the ordeal. So yeah, something like that, having the added peace of mind might, definitely be something worth looking into for sure.
Yeah. Tim or May, do you have anything to add to that question?
I'd just say that it's interesting you have so much experience in a van already. I
Mm.
had none, so I didn't even really know about the DEF, and the dealer didn't tell me about that. But
Right.
I went through the checklist. I did video everything that he talked about because I was learning about the van. But I haven't been back to the dealer since, and so I really had to learn a lot of things on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the real, and you've already started this because you guys have connected, but really the place to learn the most about these vans is from the users, and that's from STO Nation and the Facebook page. It's been
Mm-hmm.
very beneficial for me over the last few months. I mean, I went 7 months without reaching out to anybody except for the STO office there in Alabama. And then the Mercedes point, I think, is very good. I know Salt Lake City has a really good one, but so does Hoover, Alabama. And so my daughter lives in Hoover, and so that's where I get my van serviced. In fact, I'm going there Friday morning to get it serviced.
Clearly,
And
it's a
then
good
anything that
place
I
with a
need done,
good name.
Stowe's and Stowe's right there. And so it's anything that I need done, that Mercedes dealer will take it over to Stowe. They do the work, and then they bring it back and deliver it to me or give it to me. I go pick it up. So
Gotcha.
I do think that really spending some time there at the dealership, I probably should have done it. My wife and I were just excited to get in it and drive away,
Totally.
like a car that you would buy. But this was so much different. I should have spent some more time there asking questions. And really, the dealer wasn't as proficient in in explaining everything in the vehicle like they
Mm-hmm.
probably should have been. And it was all real new to them. They were when I showed up, they were like, you're getting one of those. We hardly ever see it, because this was in Arkansas where I bought it.
Yeah.
And they were like, we hardly ever see anybody come in here with these. We're so excited. They were looking at it like I was. They were just in awe.
Reading the manual with you as they went along.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it was kind of like that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about getting an adapter to charge it at home.
Mhm.
I certainly learned a lot about the Volta system. Had some issues there. Didn't know much about the shower, the water. I figured all that out. And had some water pressure issues. And at first I just thought, well, this is the way it is. You know what I mean? It's just a trickle. I felt like I was back in the Army taking a shower in the field. It was just a few drops, and I'm trying to get clean, and I'm like, this just doesn't work for me.
You're right.
But then we finally got, and I'll tell you one more thing, man, and you guys will probably admit to this. If you've got an issue and you call and get a ticket with Storyteller, I think you called it Dan the Man or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're on it, man. They set up an appointment with you. I got an app on my phone. They set up the appointment. They call you, and it is so squared away. And I think I've only had about 5 issues in the last year, but they've just been all over it.
100%.
They just take care of you.
And I'll add on top of that, Volta. Volta has been amazing in terms of customer support.
Is that app still active? Because I went to try and download it, and
The Storyteller app. No.
Okay,
No,
I didn't think so, because I went to.
Well, I still use it.
Oh,
But where are you supposed to go now?
you're supposed to go to
To the website.
Just
Yeah.
the website. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
That's what I thought after it didn't pop up when I was searching for it, but
Yeah.
gotcha.
May, you got anything to add?
Just iterate what everybody else has already said. My pickup was probably a little bit different than other people since I was chasing my daughter around. She's 3. And so I was like the babysitter, and my husband went through with the guy. I don't know what his title was, but and I didn't realize this, but it's someone different than your salesperson. So the person that walks you through the van is different than the salesperson. And it was that guy, really, it seemed like he didn't know as much as the people on the
Right.
Facebook group, which is fine. But then when we were driving away, and I asked my husband, I said, hey, did you ask him to check the power steering clamps? Because there was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband's like, I think I did. I was like, well, so, that's probably not an issue for you and your wife, because you sound very experienced. Like my husband and I have never owned anything like this. Like, we are not handy people. So that kind of leads me to the extended warranty. Like for the house part, we bought the extended warranty. Maybe it was just, I don't even remember how many, like it was a couple $1,000s, but it may just be wasted money. But for us, because we're not handy people, it was some peace of mind. Other people with a lot of van experience probably would be like, why did you pay for that? But
Yeah, I did too.
yeah. And the other thing, and maybe this is something that's standard, but we got a 5-gallon bucket with like some really bad toilet paper that I think I just throw in the compost bin. And then some of those like toilet tabs, but the gray tank hose, they included a gray tank hose, and I didn't know that wasn't like a standard thing. Other people had to go out and buy it, I guess. I don't know. So I would ask for that.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah. I don't know what happened with you guys, but maybe it's just standard that they give that bucket to everybody. But
Similar experience, but you can actually kind of, strangely enough, negotiate the bucket. It's kind of like up to $50.
Charmin. I should have asked for the
Right.
Charmin.
Right. Well, that's like it's basically used for it's like this very biodegradable toilet paper. But definitely get the gray tank hose, and they typically give you a converter for the electrical thing, and that's actually kind of handy.
The dog bone, the dog bone,
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the $50 gift thing from the dealer too, but I didn't even know what to spend it on, so I never used it. So if I would have known that I needed these items, I would have bought them, but I had to buy them later. Of course, I didn't go back to Arkansas and use it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you can probably be prepared for a very wide spectrum of what kind of service and knowledge you're going to get from the dealership. And going into it, I mean, obviously knowing the Facebook page and being able to use the resources, you'll go into it with way more understanding than most people. And
Totally.
that is a heads up right there.
Mm-hmm.
What company are you buying it from again?
So it's La Mesa in Albuquerque.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So
good.
I bought mine from La Mesa, but
Yeah.
from Tucson. But they have a starter's kit. So if they don't give it to you, ask for it. Just be like,
Okay.
hey, my friend who bought a storyteller said that, I'm supposed to get a starter
Mm-hmm.
kit. And so then that
Totally.
way, you you may not use all of it, but at least you get like the big items.
Yeah. No,
Um,
exactly.
yeah. I would say the one thing that, so La Mesa is going to ask you to buy the extended warranty and gap insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I don't know if you know what gap insurance is, but
No, I don't think we had experience with that.
so it's additional insurance that you can get. So let's say you get in a wreck and your insurance is only going to pay 50,000, but the damage is 75,000. That gap insurance, you file a claim with them and they'll cover the other 25,000.
Got
So
it.
I did get that, and with mine I was able to, I think it was like a couple $1,000s. I can't remember how much it was for um as basically as long as I own the van.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to finance that into my deal. So instead of just having to pay another 2,000 right out of pocket, it was ended up being like $2 more per month if I financed it. And I was like, I don't care, whatever. So I went ahead and did that route.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else got gap insurance. No? Okay. I'm not saying that you need to get it or anything. I just got that kind of
Mm-hmm.
like what May said, is it's more peace of mind because I've gotten roaringly screwed from insurance companies before, and I was like, oh no, especially for
Mm-hmm.
something this expensive. I was like, nah, not
Right.
I'm not gonna take
Right.
my chances.
Yeah.
Um, and then I will say that a lot of people don't know this when they first pick it up, but long story short, don't sign any paperwork until the very end because the dealership does not get credit for the delivery
Mm-hmm.
until you actually sign the paper. So I know a lot of dealerships try to get you to sign the paperwork first and then they'll
Right.
do the walkthrough. Do it the other way
Mm-hmm.
around. Like no
Other way
matter what they
around.
say, just be like, hey, I want to do the walkthrough first. Because basically, if
Mm-hmm.
you go through everything and you find something that's broke and you say, well, you need to fix it or I'm not going to, I mean, it's not
Right.
like you're going to walk away, but they're going to bust their butts to get it fixed like
Right.
ASAP.
No,
So
that
they
makes a
can
lot of
get
sense.
credit
Yep.
for that delivery. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You may end up with a ticket like we did for an item that is like a peripheral for your van. For example, we got a ticket for bug screens and weirdly a mattress, even though we had the mattress. That yeah, that storyteller will send you at a later date. So that might be the only thing. We picked ours up in June, and we didn't have bug screens. It wasn't a big deal. And we ended up inheriting some from a couple that had a 2020 in San Francisco, and they're still. We've never even opened the box for the ones we actually paid for. So,
Backups.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's an issue now, but I was just thinking supply chain. Maybe they'll say, "Oh, we just couldn't. We shipped it without the bug screens."
Yeah. And if anything is broken that can't be fixed that day or whatnot, just make sure you get it in writing. I guess the we
Mm-hmm.
owe you kind of thing or whatever. Um,
Definitely.
uh, but um,
Yeah, I did
I
use a little leverage, I think, on letting letting them know that I was that I was coming on the podcast, just so they might up their game, a little bit, so they know there might be some feedback, coming their way. So,
yeah,
yeah, no, I think I already kind of got that message loud and clear. So,
that's good. Yeah, I mean, just throw it out there. Be like, hey, all these
yep,
owners said do this, so that's what I'm gonna do. If you don't like it, I mean,
yep, yeah,
but
exactly.
Um, so I saw on your Facebook post originally that you downloaded the checklist, so that's good.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
obviously go through all of it, and when it comes to the water, well, I guess let's just break it down per system, right? So you have the water system. So you want to make sure it heats. You want to make sure, obviously, the water is running.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to make sure there's no leaks.
Right.
So obviously, the heat and water running are kind of, you don't need to explain that. But to catch any leaks, what you got to do is you got to leave the water pump on, and then you just kind
Mm-hmm.
of got to listen to see if that pump comes back on. If it comes
Right.
on and you haven't run any water, then you have a leak, and you need
Yeah.
to have those guys chase that down ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that part about trying to catch a leak is in the checklist. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
seen it for a hot minute. And then don't forget to run your shower water. Same thing, hot, cold. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
the drain drains. If not, just do the little hand suction to get that
Mm.
little, I forget what it's called, to re-invert it. And then the
Gotcha.
outside shower too. So check
Right.
all that system. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
Um, then I would say, as far as the Volta / electronic system, like obviously you're gonna know if the Volta is working or not.
Mm-hmm.
um, you know,
Yeah.
make sure you learn how to turn the inverter on and off,
Yeah.
and then turn
See
the
if
system back.
see if this touch screen is working or not. They're
Hmm.
working to resolve some
Yeah, and then I
lingering
would
issue with that.
yeah, and then I would turn the entire thing off, and then so when you first get up there, they're probably gonna have it plugged in. Just immediately unplug it.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then do all the testing without it.
Without it. Yeah.
Are
Makes
the
sense.
glycol leaks something that's coming up in the 22s at all?
No, that's more the 2020 and 21s that I've seen.
What
I
kind of leak?
A glycol leak
Glycol.
from the Rixons. Yeah. So when we picked up ours, I told my husband, I was like, make sure they take off the seat of the Groove Lounge to check all the what are they called? Those like they're
yeah,
hose
the
clamps basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the glycol's a closed system, and I guess some people, if they have to be really really tight. So yeah, that, I mean, that's, you, I guess if it's not an issue with the 2022s, but we ended up having a glycol leak, but not until like whatever January. So we had our vehicle for 6 or 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
But they were all we. I remember that was one thing that Roger actually remembered to check is the clamps around the hoses at the time of
Definitely.
pickup, at least.
Mm-hmm.
does anyone else have anything to add to the plumbing and electricity?
On the electrical side, it's not really electrical, but kind of the awning light and the cabin lights dimming switches. They're extremely sensitive to static electricity, which the vans, depending on the climate, generate a lot of. So if you touch them and you have static and it sparks, you're going to short them out immediately. So you'd learn pretty quick when you have static in your van, like
Mm-hmm.
dry, hot weather and stuff. But I always touch the metal next to the switch before touching the switch because I've gone through 3 of the cabin lights and 2 of the awning lights from that. My kids touching them with static and
Oh,
shorting them
wow.
out.
Good.
It's
Good
an
to know.
easy change, but still a pain when
Yeah,
you have
Right.
to
I
change them
replaced my
out.
switch too.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. Makes sense.
yeah.
Right.
um. Okay, so let's see. Moving on to, I guess, the cabinetry. Like, so when I first got my van, the top drawer was not seated right where it wouldn't latch. So I would just say, and then plus, I don't know if you've seen people on the Facebook group where the actual face of the, not the cabinet, but the drawer face will fall off. Well,
I
that's
did
happened
see
to me
that.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's happened to me like more times than I'd like to admit. I think I just put it back on like 2 days ago, to be honest. But um, so I would just make sure everything latches really well because, as a
Mm.
previous van person, as soon as you take that corner and something's not latched, there goes everything. So
There goes everything. Absolutely. Been there, done that. Yep.
yeah, I don't know if anyone else has experienced the unwanted chaos mess from that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a bag of
Not yet.
pistachios one time, and they were covered in wasabi sauce, and so I just had
Oh,
the entire van smelled like wasabis, or it was wasabi almonds. That's what it was. I had a big old bag from Costco, and it just like all of it just went everywhere, and I was like, no. Anyways,
Those almonds are the best, by the way.
Yeah,
aren't
they're
they?
They're
delicious.
amazing. They're
I
amazing.
know. You
One
just,
other item back to paperwork that I think is important is depending on how they write up your paperwork, because the vans have two separate years. So in the case of a 2022, it's actually on a 2021 chassis. So the DMV is going to register off of, there's two separate VIN numbers. Register off the later one because it's going to help your resale value. Even though it's a 21, you want to register it as a 22.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
good point. Did you have any other questions, C? I don't know if you want us to go around each like system of the van or and the
Right.
chassis, or if you just want your
I mean,
questions.
it was, just little things like, like I had mentioned, like, when we had our old van and not knowing about things like DEF, like, I guess, have there been any like major changes, from someone having an old Sprinter van to, these newer chassis that, I might not be aware of, like in something like a DEF realm or kind of that might have a different learning curve.
Yeah,
Well,
so
the diesel is now a lot more expensive. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, we might not be going anywhere for a little while, but we'll have the new van.
and you live in Tennessee. You don't live in
I
California.
know. I know.
oh
I
my
know.
god, I can't even imagine living in California. So
I feel like I gave up the right to complain about fuel prices when I bought the Storyteller, though. I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
Yeah, 10
Yeah.
miles a gallon or whatever.
I don't know. You can still complain.
yeah, I think we all have the right to complain a little bit, but so I will say one idiosyncrasy is the stinking key fob. So I don't know what triggers it, but basically you have the key, and then underneath so you're in the driver's seat,
Yeah.
and on the the console, you look down and you keep looking down, and on the very bottom where the console almost touches the floor is this little slot where the key fob goes in. So sometimes you might get this or it's not an error message. It's like it says place a key
Key
fob.
detecting key. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Anyways, and then that's what the machine wants. It wants you to feed it the little key, and then you'll be able to do the push start button, right? Well, I
Gotcha.
found a little trick to that. So what you do, okay, so I know for a fact it's triggered when you stop somewhere, you turn off the motor, and then you go to the back, and then you do whatever, and then you use like the sliding door to open it to get out of the van or something like that. Well, then when you come back in, it's gonna, whether you use a key fob or go through whatever door, it doesn't matter. When you get back into the driver's seat, it's going to ask you to feed it the key, right? So to circumvent that, before you get out of the driver's seat, I made it a habit where I literally open the door and just crack it, and so it registers it, the driver's door open, and then I close it,
Right.
and then I go to the back and like whatever. Because if you don't, I know like the first, I was struggling like probably like 4 months straight, and I was like, what is going on? Why does
Same
this
here.
thing keep happening? And it was so annoying. Where I felt like just keeping a key in there the entire time, because it literally happened like all the time. It was so
I
annoying.
didn't even know
So
where the fob was. I didn't even know where to put the key because I get that message. I would just use the key to lock it and unlock it, and then it would work. And then
I,
I found out about a month ago, well, it might have been 2 or 3 weeks ago, on the Facebook site where somebody said something about the fob, and I was like, okay, where is that? And she
Charlotte,
just
yeah.
explained it. Yeah, okay, yeah. I was like, okay, well, thank you. I mean, I've had this thing a year, and I'm like, okay, I don't know where to put this key, and I'm not going to go in the manual and figure it out. I'm just going to lock it and unlock it, and I'm good.
That reminds me when you pick up, make sure you get all the fobs, because some people I think are
I think I
getting
got 4.
2.
Okay.
Yeah. So you should be getting 4.
Great
Gotcha.
point.
Gotcha.
yeah. I don't I actually haven't had that experience, and I do that all the time where exit my van out the sliding door and come back in the sliding door.
Oh,
I don't think you actually have to insert the key into the hidden fob holder. I think you just have to push. You have to
Like our,
activate it so it
right,
censors it, right?
right.
It doesn't actually have to be inserted into
Yeah.
the key fob holder.
I still never have
Because
inserted it. So you're
yeah,
right.
because you actually have a zone within, like, I think it's like within 5 feet of the driver's seat. If you exit that, the key is not detectable unless you
Gotcha.
push a button. And so when you get in back in the driver's seat, all you have to do is hit an unlock or
I
lock
do that.
button, and it senses the key.
oh, okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
easy.
there's a lot of little tips and tricks with the Mercedes chassis and electrical
Right.
components of the van that are far different than your 2013.
Exactly. I think
One thing I would point
that'll be the
out,
Like,
biggest learning curve for me
yeah,
is that technological advancements that where our van was very analog, and this it's kind of
sure,
in the technology realm.
one thing I would
yeah.
point out to ask them if they can do it. So one I know you can do. The other one I think there's a third party mod. Not that I'm recommending it, but I'd recommend it, and just because it's such a pain. But you can get them to turn off the "Hey Mercedes" thing. So Mercedes has a
Mm,
terrible version of Siri.
right.
Um, that thing's annoying. So that you can get them to turn that off permanently. The
Hmm.
other one that I find not only annoying but incredibly dangerous is the auto lane assist. And because you're driving and you're fumbling to fix it, right? Um, if you can get them to turn it off, again, safety first, but I would get them to turn it off if I could.
Mm.
Yeah, you can't
I
you
don't
can't
think
do
you
that.
can.
Yeah,
I
so
don't think you can. I think it's an aftermarket thing that somebody has figured out what to do. And I think the third thing is, and I don't know anything about this because it's on the newer vans, but the high idle, like mine doesn't have high idle, and I
Hmm.
don't know quite how that works. So you're going to be the one of the ones to learn for me, I think.
That's specific to the Beast
Beast, yeah,
model.
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the high idle, you just want to make sure it's above 1850, and then you might throw a EGR code, um,
Mm.
because it's not supposed to idle that long. It's not designed to idle. Period. I guess
Mm.
with the new exhaust system. So just be careful of that. I'm sure you could do like a
So
search in the Facebook group, and I think I have something on the Stonation website and the knowledge base on that too. But
Hmm.
yeah. Um, oh, go ahead.
yeah, there's a lot of little things with the MBUX system on the Mercedes. I believe you actually can deactivate the Hey Mercedes when you set up your initial profile.
Hmm.
I'm not 100% certain, but I think I recall it asking you about the Hey Mercedes voice activation, which you can
Hmm.
disable. I actually find it useful only for things like, for example, when I get in the car, I can just say, "Hey Mercedes, turn on the seat heaters," rather than reaching across and hitting the passenger seat heater or the little functional things like that. But for using it like Siri, no, not necessarily great.
Right.
Um, there is, even though it doesn't say anywhere on your climate control buttons, your system actually has an auto climate control capability, and that's default in the MBUX profile. Just make sure when you set up your profile, you don't turn off, like there's a function to select auto or not. Just leave it and it will automatically select auto. And then when you use your climate control, if you only adjust the temperature, then the actual fan control and vent options are all in auto, and it will automatically uh, run at the temperature, whether it's 70 degrees or 65 or 80 degrees, whatever you set your van to, it will adjust the climate control according to that. But as soon as you touch the fan button or selecting split vent or, defrost on the fan selecting, it'll go back out of auto to manual mode. You can always go back in and delete your profile and redo it and get it back to auto, but it's a little bit of a pain to do that because you lose all your preset functions like your memory seat memory and stuff like that. But
Mm.
it's actually quite handy to have the auto climate control. And then, as you've probably read, one of the first things you should do is disconnect the center speaker. It makes the world of difference on how your stereo sounds, and
Mm.
that's a really, really, like, 3-minute task, and it saves you hundreds of dollars, I think, if you upgrade your stereo.
I gotta do that. I haven't done it.
Me too.
It's so easy, and it's
read about
night
it.
and day
The other
difference.
day.
I'm handy. I'm like, I'll probably like move the van if I try to do it.
No, it's you
She's
literally
gonna lose
just
her radio
need-
forever.
Well,
Yeah, it's super simple.
there's one wire. You can only do one wire, because if you do the wrong wire, then
Yeah.
the Mercedes assistants, you won't be able to
Right.
hear. Do you remember which
Oh.
one
Right.
that is?
And they're color coded. I think I think it varied between a model year between 19 and 20, but you have to go back and look. But I think it's the purple wire you disconnect, but I'm not 100% certain. You'd have to go back. But I mean, I saw it, and it literally takes 3 minutes to do, and it's
Right.
well worth it.
Especially as a
Taking notes.
musician,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
want good sound
Right.
quality.
I mean, the stereo's not like a killer stereo anyway,
Yeah.
but it sounds way better with that center speaker disconnected.
Yeah, be
Does the
prepared.
Bluetooth speaker come in the new ones too? I hardly ever use my Bluetooth.
believe
so. Furion?
speaker, so.
yeah,
It was the Infurion is
it's
terrible.
terrible.
At least I think it is. I think it's terrible.
Yeah, it's I just hang things on it now. It's,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't even
it's
have
like an
it
old
in the
treadmill. You know, you just hang stuff on it.
Good,
Yeah,
good
that
for-
Fury-
My kids use it all the time.
van. Oh,
Yeah, my daughter loves it.
I'll
Yeah.
throw this idea out to the group. I haven't done it, but I had a couple of spare Sonos speakers, and I run a Verizon Jetpack, which basically is a Wi-Fi. So there's, if I'm thinking about it correctly, you should be able to set up Sonos speakers within your van, theoretically. I haven't tried it. Your mileage may vary.
I don't know if you know this, but it also comes with yours will come with XM radio and an AT&T hotspot. If you choose to do the AT&T, most people don't, but some people do.
Right.
I think it's like $10-15 on top of your plan. But the problem is that as soon as you turn off the van, you get like 20-30 minutes, and then the Mercedes computer will shut it down. So
right.
Yeah, it's not
right.
worth it.
yeah.
I got it, and I didn't. I cut it off after a few months. I mean, I have an AT&T phone anyway, so you know, I mean, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, it's like, for us, I think things like, even though the Beast has, a significant amount of upgrades compared to what we were initially envisioning, it's like, things like, do we get the Wii Boost, and, other little odds and ends like that, are things we're, kind of debating on, and probably not something we'll dive into right away, but, as we go, it's like, whether or not, that's things like that are worth it,
Yeah. Well, the good thing is at least you have prior experience, so you kind of already have a good idea of what you need and don't need. So,
Mhm. Yeah. I actually went down to the basement today and pulled out our big container of all of our old van dedicated odds and ends, and was sifting through like, nope, that's not going in the new one. That's garbage. That's and things like that. So.
yeah. So does anyone else have any tips for C?
Well, you mentioned the 4-wheel drive system and how to function it properly in the van. The first, I don't know how much you plan to actually drive your van off-road where you will utilize the 4-wheel drive other than the snow conditions in Colorado. We actually use ours a great deal off-road. And the first thing is it's way more capable than you would expect and way more capable than people give it credit for. You just have to learn how to use it if you choose to go
Right.
off-road.
Yeah. I actually inquired to Storyteller. I was curious if they were going to be doing the beyond the pavement thing this year, and I was told at this juncture they're not, which I was kind of last year I guess they did it in Grand Junction, which is only a couple hours away from us, which would have been super convenient, and just I think resources like that, just to really immerse yourself in and be with a group, to like it's like no the van can do this, and just kind of learning the ropes would be good. Are there any other programs besides like what they did with Beyond the Pavement that people are aware of?
Well,
there's a bunch of user groups that set up van meetups, but there's also in Colorado you have a huge base of users in Colorado that will have experience driving
Yeah.
off road with their vans.
There's one based out of SoCal, and that Brian Lau, that's a guy I hired to take us out in northern Nevada for the New Year's Eve trip. But he does it's called Sprinter. I'll email it or text it to you after this. I can't remember off the top of my head, but basically, you pay whatever fee. Breakfast and lunch and dinner are catered. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, they'll take you through and basically, teach you how to do stuff, and you'll be able to gain confidence using your sprinter. So that's one course. There's another one in NorCal that I know of. So basically, I think if you go to like any 4x4 off-roading place, and even the one that they used that TC used over in Grand Junction, that's Bill Burke. You can hit him up and just be like, hey, I just got a beast, blah blah blah. You can even throw my name out there or throw Tim's name and be like, hey, when's your next class for sprinter? Are you even doing that? I mean, there's so much, like what Todd said, there's so much going on in Colorado. So, and then of course, if you go to Overland Expo, there's one, I think it's in August up in Loveland, Colorado. They'll have a track where you can go and actually do stuff, and a bunch of us will be there. So, but I think the best bet to actually like just get hands on with a bunch of other like storyteller people is just to come to one of the meetups.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and just practicing in your own van. Like practice, even though you may not be using it off road, practice shifting it into 4-wheel drive and 4-low. There's various different routines that almost guarantee proper engagement every time. And I don't think I think they all are very similar, but you basically shift into neutral, select the 4-wheel drive high, and then shift it into one of the drive gears. I always shift it into reverse first and then into drive, and I don't ever have an issue in 4-low or 4-high. And just, I think a lot of people get into trouble because they get into a situation where they actually need the 4-wheel drive and they have load on the drivetrain, and that causes issues getting it into the 4-wheel drive when you're in that scenario.
Yeah.
And then you have the traction control and then the ESP, and those are the ESP and then the way the differential functions for locking the differential. It doesn't use the differential, it uses the braking system, the ABS braking system. But the ESP actually hinders your performance off-road when it's on, because when it senses wheel slip, it cuts power and it makes you think that you're stuck or it's not working because your van, it bogs down. But if you turn that off when you're in snow conditions or off-road conditions, it guarantees that you'll get enough wheel slip to trigger the sensors on the ABS to actually shift power between the different wheels.
Yeah.
So a lot of little things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I
that
wanna-
all. Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to go back to what you were asking about, like the technology, and maybe this is like totally rudimentary, but like you're already aware of it. But when you start the van, the first thing I do, there's a little button. It's like the van and a road underneath it. If you press it, then it's the shortcut to turning off the parking sensors. Or the screen will, if you're in reverse, will show there's a little button in the upper left where you can turn off the parking sensors. Because we have peripherals on the back, we have the ski box and the expedition box. They trigger the sensor. There's no way around it. Especially the ski box. The expedition box from Owl, you can I get like move it so it doesn't trigger. But I also turn off the lane assist because I just can't stand all that. The swaying,
So
the
annoying.
beeping. It's so sensitive. Anyway, so that'll. I mean, you'll figure it out. But that's like the first thing I do is I start it and I turn all that crap off.
Yeah. I actually so I make it a habit, along with like opening the door and stuff when I park, to hit the button, because when you turn your van back on, it'll automatically pop up, and then you just touch the turn off the lane assist and the parking sensors, and then it's just like boom, it's ready to go, instead of like fiddling around. And because I did that, I actually just started doing that like the last 2 weeks, to be honest, and it's made my life so much easier. Just as soon as you before you open the door, just hit that one shortcut button and then turn it off, and then you're done. And so as soon as you walk back or get back in, it's like boom, turn it off, and don't even have to worry about it. But I mean, that's just me. I mean, I'm sure you guys will find your own little hacks, but I mean,
Right.
it is really annoying.
I actually have a question. Since you've had so many vans, or there's a lot of people who have had previous vans, but the whole window blowout thing is like a huge controversy in this house. In this family. Like my husband is like, that's a load of BS. Like there's no way closing the slider will blow out the window. So I don't know if that was a thing with your 2013, but there's been enough in the Facebook forum where I'm like, well, maybe it'll happen. So now I always do the so there's on the key fob, if you press the unlock button, hold it down, then the front windows will come down. So I always do that now. I mean, and then I started to, I don't know what other people think or what your experience has been.
Yeah, never had an issue with anything like that. No van, but
No.
Yeah, that's right.
Going back to your, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was sorry. Yeah, there's a bunch of little hacks and stuff like that you're gonna figure out on your own. I don't want you to get too overwhelmed because they're endless, because it's a computer system, right? So, you know, but the good thing is, like, if you have any questions, you know, obviously hit up the Facebook group. You know how to contact me, stuff like that, and everyone else.
Absolutely.
I think, you know, and you know, I think my biggest advice for you is don't be afraid to reach out, because there's a lot of new owners out there that are like, oh, I don't want to look stupid, or you know, whatever. I would say put all that aside. We're a community. We're here for you, regardless of like if you are just picking up or if you're a seasoned owner. So, but anyways,
on your van
it.
pickup, one other thing to have them check is your e-brake. Make sure that it's functioning, because most storytellers I've been in, the e-brake doesn't actually work. It pulls on and it feels like it has tension, but if you put your van in neutral or anything, it can still roll. And I think when they do the e-brake relocation, sometimes the tension on the e-brake activation doesn't get set properly. So that's an easy, quick check, but and it's an easy adjustment for the dealer to do.
Okay.
Todd, can people hire you to just basically fly you out for their pickup?
I can't say I can do any of this.
It's a new
and I've actually never
opportunity.
been to a dealer pickup.
I know. I was gonna say, where were you in June 2021? Why did I have my husband with me? He was useless.
Hey, that's a question. That's a too big a question to answer.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to answer that right now, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, no. So did you have any other questions, C? And I mean, if not, I think
nothing
maybe
real specific. No.
Okay.
I think this has all been just very informative, and just a kind of a good intro, and just a couple odds and ends to kind of be aware of, and kind of see how it goes.
Super exciting.
It is.
I think we're all super excited for you. So I think a good way to kind of round this podcast out is if we go around, and if you have any last words for C of advice, whether it be part of the storyteller house portion or the chassis portion, or I don't know, just storyteller life, like whatever. Tim, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, I mean, I've had mine a year, and here's a page of stuff I didn't know about. right. And so, and it's really about, and then she might ask later, but it's about the STO community. Really, it's like I said earlier, it's listening to the podcast and getting on the Facebook page and kind of try to figure things out. And I got a whole bunch of stuff to check on now that I didn't even realize I could do. And I've got a lot of experience in that van. I've got a lot of miles in it, stuff that I've just been dealing with on my own. I think that's what the community is about. It's about learning from each other and then making this experience a little bit better.
Todd, do you have any last words for C?
Sure. Get out and use it. Like, there's all this stuff to learn about it, and some of it's really important, and some of it is just hacks or little tips and tricks. But the van is perfectly functional and a great adventure tool and get out and use it. My family, I mean, we're out every weekend as much as possible, and it's been an absolute joy for our family to get out and travel in it and have adventures, even if it's just an overnight. Drive for a half an hour, park someplace that has a beautiful view, and put out the awning and hang out with a campfire and enjoy it. Right?
Indeed.
And Hugh, do you have any last words for him?
Yeah, I do. Definitely do. I would suggest two things. One, get out, just like you said, take a nap in it. Like, it's just a fantastic tool for driving 10 minutes to a view and taking a nap. A. B.
Agreed.
Do not buy, I would not recommend buying a whole host of mods right away. I would recommend spending, and you've spent a lot of time in advance, so it's going to be a little different for you, but I would recommend spending, I did, I spent a month or two in the van thinking to myself, like, okay, like, do I want that GLS system? Yes, I did want the GLS system. I think it's fantastic. Um, but there are other mods that I was like, I don't really need that, right? So I would just take the time to focus on what you think you really need.
Right.
May, do you have any last advice for C?
Yeah, have fun and let us know how it goes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess my last piece of advice, I don't know if you are aware, I meant to mention this earlier, but I don't know if you're aware with the new Volta screen, they've been having issues. So basically what it is that the LCD backlighting will go out, but the panel actually works, but the problem is you can't see the panel. So when I did the podcast over at Warner with Buck from Volta, he was saying like Chad and Paul shined a flashlight at it and it like would turn back on, but then someone else posted in the Facebook group it didn't work. So I don't know. But I would have the Volta service phone number and email on the standby in case it happens because I mean that's your electrical system, so
Right.
you don't want to
Little little t-
oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
little trick on that. When it's working, use a little dry erase marker and circle the different functional buttons and label them. So if it goes
Okay.
out, at least you have your dry erase marker on there and you
Yeah.
can touch it and make it work.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Todd, you're so stinking clever. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna listen for Todd's voice whenever I'm having an issue.
Todd,
Like,
we're gonna have
we're
an episode of just we're gonna call it the Todd Hour from now on.
I really don't know that much.
But
really, honestly.
no, so yeah, so be on the lookout for that. Volta is already aware, and you know they are such a great company. They will, as soon as they have the part, they will literally overnight it to you, and walk you through of how to replace it and everything. The other thing too is just because of the Volta harness issue that was more known on the 21s versus the 22s. Do the high idle, go to the Volta panel, and make sure the Volta is charging. So that's a must. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And then there was one more. Oh, research. Obviously you live in Colorado, so research Colorado, but research the legal. I don't know what it's called, but for lack of better terms, a legal. So basically, the KC lights are going to come with a cover, right? In some states, you can roll around with them uncovered. In some states, you have to actually have them covered. So
Right.
before you get all, since you're driving 5 hours back and crossing through a couple of states, I would definitely make sure, because if they actually pop on, they're so stinking bright, they basically go to the moon if you pointed it that way. You're really gonna accidentally blind someone and possibly cause some harm and damage. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, just make sure you research which states allow or which states require you to have covers on those kind of lights,
Okay.
because a state trooper will pull you over. And then other than that, my last bit of advice is just like come out to the meetups, because like we're just a very small fraction of the community, and sometimes we're running 20, 30 vans deep, and like things that you didn't even know were even physically possible, someone's done, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh my God. And it's just a great way to get out there and meet the community, because these are the same people you're going to reach out to if something goes wrong, so why not be friends with them? Why not like build a relationship with them? You know what I mean? So, and that's to me the entire point of STO Nation is the community. So
Actually, you should leave all of your old friends behind.
it, it wouldn't be the first time that I've heard that storyteller is basically a cult. So I mean,
Yeah.
just embrace it.
Right.
But anyways, no, yeah. So unless anybody has something very last minute to add, I appreciate everyone's time for coming on tonight.
Yeah, no, I thank everyone for taking the time as well.
Well, see, we are back after you picked up your storyteller beast mode. What, this last Monday, a couple days
Correct. Yeah.
ago?
Well, no,
Because right
so
now,
last Monday. So
oh,
we've
last Monday. Okay.
had it for about a week and a half now.
Okay, and refresh my memory. You drove it through like 5-6 hours through a bunch of
Yeah.
states, and
So we picked it up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it's about 5 hours from where we live in Uray, and so had a nice little drive. We had wished we could do like a big you know out of the gate adventure, but last my wife is a teacher, so she had to had to get back to school, to teach for the next day. But it was good, to at least have a long drive like that, just to kind of get a feel for things, and kind of get acclimated to some of the similarities to the last van we have, and then some quite a few differences from the last van we had. So
right. So I think everyone wants to know, how did it go?
overall, a really good experience, I would say. I think just the dealer, we did it through La Mesa in Albuquerque, and they were very accommodating, for everything that we needed, and kind of addressed a lot of our questions and things like that. I mean, I think I was very upfront, with kind of my expectations of what I was looking for them to, I wanted them to have things like, the water system, sanitized and ready to go, and just things like that. And so, literally, like they were even nice and got us an Uber that picked us up at the airport, and, things like that, and picked us up at our Airbnb the next morning to, come and do the walkthrough. And, I will say, I think, telling them a little note now that you're doing an interview on a podcast, might give people a little incentive to go that extra mile. So I think that was
I'm sure.
a little helpful as well. But no, they did really good. We had about a 4 hour walkthrough, where we just literally went through like every system, climbed in and out of every little compartment and opened up every latch and door and thing that we could, and then took it on a quick test drive, and kind of learn the process of getting into 4-wheel drive and things like that, and yeah, just kind of got to a point where we felt comfortable driving it off the lot, and yeah, drove it back home to Colorado. And we ran into one issue right off the bat, with the chassis side of things. We had it was the active brake assist warning and the active distance assist inoperative warning pop up on us. And so I did a little research on that, and saw some people say maybe it's just a dirty sensor, maybe a sensor is out of place or whatnot. And so I tried just cleaning them off, and then it's occurred a couple more times since, but then the last time we drove it, it didn't happen. So I'm still kind of keeping my fingers crossed. Maybe things are things are just shaken into place as they need to be. But because we're about 5 hours from the closest dealer, so getting just being able to quickly take it to a dealer to address issues like that isn't the easiest process. But yeah, no, it's been great. We took it out, on a couple, quick adventures, just in the mountains around here, just, driving wise. And this past weekend, we took it to Dominguez Canyon, just a little south of Grand Junction, Colorado, and did like an overnighter there to, really get immersed in it and test out the bathroom and shower and things like that. So it's been really good.
So everything, that's awesome. It sounds like everything was pretty functional.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions. The first one is what we talked about before you picked up the van. What was like the most useful information? I know we covered like a lot of stuff, but was there something that really stuck out that helped you when you went to go pick it up?
I mean, I think just having just the comprehensive input from everyone, just kind of, a few of those notes of like, make sure you look at, these certain things. I don't remember, exactly off the top of my head, but, I did have my little like checklist of, of things to, be sure to address and, take a look at things like, the Volta screen, which, we do have the known issue, with that,
You
going
do?
dark. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Did Todd's trick, did you
Well,
do Todd's trick?
I actually didn't, because I noticed, like, actually, at least with ours, like if you look at it, like almost from an angle, you can still make it out. But then, like if we wanted to turn the inverter on or off, we have to cycle, the whole system off, like reboot, and then it will, turn on and off. So that's kind of what we found, to work, a little workaround, as far as that goes. So, it's not, not the end of the world, but yeah, it'll be nice, once they get that, corrected, just to, have everything go smoothly.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, the guy that was showing you the beast and how to work it, did you know more than he did, or was he pretty, or she pretty informative?
It was interesting. They actually had like, it was like almost like a collective effort. So it was one lady that's, did the, most of the overview, and then a different gentleman that, did the test drive, with us, and then another salesperson that, kind of handled, some of the other stuff, and then obviously like the financial guy as well. And but no, she was, very thorough. Seemed, it's like she could tell I had done my research and was, pretty darn familiar with a lot of the systems. But there were a few little things that I didn't know. Like I didn't know about the extra little, safe storage under the bed in the 2022 models. Which, every little inch of usable storage is nice. So that was a nice little surprise. And and then just learning, little things about the chassis, itself that, wasn't on our old vehicle as well. But yeah, no, I think overall, very informed with it. So.
May and Todd, if you guys have questions, feel free to, fire them away.
Sure. I the only comment I have right now is that on the active brake assist, I've learned that the most common reason for it to deactivate is driving on a road with no traffic. And oncoming traffic doesn't count. It has to be traffic in front of you. If it goes for a period of time with no traffic in front of you, it will shut off until it can reset when you have traffic in front of you.
Right. Gotcha.
Really only unless your sensors are out of alignment, which I don't think is very common, it's like snow or really heavy bugs that would cause it to be dirty and
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, it's something like, we even tried, just, turning it off before we even started driving, and it would still, it still popped up. And, ultimately, like, I wouldn't even care to even have those features, but the biggest factor is, when those, warnings come up, it shuts off the cruise control ability. So that was the, biggest frustration with it. It's just, having it, something that I don't necessarily need. And then it's like, oh, now I have to, pull off and kind of, reset, things in order to have cruise control again. But
yeah. So Let's talk about we didn't really talk about this before, but insurance. Was it
Hmm.
hard to get insurance on your new
Uh,
beast?
no, I mean we kind of went into it just well we did our insurance through our previous provider, so we had an insurance agent that dealt with it with our last RV, and so she was kind of pretty aware of what we were looking for. And so, she was, basically just went straight back to Progressive and was like, here's the new thing. They did have some issues, where the VIN number was popping up as, just the Sprinter chassis and not, the full shebang and whatnot. So I had to kind of send them some documentation just to say, no, it's worth a little bit more than that. So yeah, but they got it figured out, pretty quickly. And honestly, with the very concise amount of time that, from when we were notified that, we were actually getting it, to, actually, just going through the process and figuring all that out, I think, overall they were pretty quick about it. So.
Who do you guys have, Todd and May, for insurance? Just out of curiosity, I have State Farm, so.
Progressive.
Progressive.
I did a fixed value on Progressive.
Okay. What did you guys go with Progressive just because it was like the best deal, or?
Best deal, and my insurance agent did a bunch of checking, and best deal and really good coverage for what I was looking for. Like I said, I wanted to do a stated value rather than a replacement value. So it worked out really well for us.
What about
Roger,
you, Maze? You just went
yeah,
with Progressive?
so we have State Farm for our other vehicles, and we did kind of like a side-by-side comparison, and same with Todd, it was the best coverage. We didn't do the stated value though, and I don't remember whether we knew about that when we insured, or I mean the reason, what kind of like the difference why we ended up going with Progressive is because the resale or the value was a lot higher versus State Farm. So I mean, yeah, it was just kind of a numbers game, but we did a lot of Facebook group searching and comparisons.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are
And
using
then-
Progressive.
Yeah, it seems to be the
I think so.
predominant one.
Yeah, for sure. So did they try to sell you the extra warranty and, clear coating, or I don't know, whatever else they got up their sleeve?
They mentioned it and whatnot, but I think the financial guy was pretty pretty cut and dry and forthright with a lot of things and whatnot, and it's like you can do some things like this after the fact if you want, and again I think he got the vibe that we kind of know what we're doing and getting ourselves into, and wasn't trying to, I think, oversell us on anything. So felt pretty comfortable with all of that, and my wife's kind of gets to the point when it comes to like she's much better at numbers and accounting and finances and all that fun stuff than I am. So I just kind of let give her the reins when it comes to those type of things, and say, hey, I trust you, babe, and let's go with that.
Okay, so you didn't get any extra then?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, got it.
Exactly. At least not at this juncture, but
Okay, cool. And then so I guess my biggest question is if you place yourself, a month ago before you're picking up the van, is there anything that you would do different now picking up the van and taking out on a couple of ventures? Is there anything that you would do differently?
I mean, not really. I mean, I think for us, it was just kind of such a whirlwind, unique, thing where it was like all of a sudden it was available, and it's like, oh, okay, the time has come. Kind of almost sooner than we were expecting. That we just kind of we were just ready to jump on it and go for it, and just having done just so much research up to date, and kind of already knowing what we were going to do and how to do it, and just kind of took the leap more or less.
Right. And then as far as finance goes, and you don't have, just if you don't want to talk about it, that's cool too. But if you do, just talk to like whatever you're comfortable with. But like, can you go over a little bit about the financing in regards to like, did you use the dealership's financing? Did you get your own financing? Like, or did you even finance? I don't know.
Yeah. So a big factor for us, we basically, so we sold our last van last October, and so basically rolled, that was more or less our down payment. So we had that as a good chunk of change just to be able to put into it in the first place, and then kind of assessed our options of the length of loan we wanted to do for the rest of it, and they were good about just kind of giving us a couple of different variations, and I kind of played around with them a little bit. It's like, okay, what would our down payment need to be if we wanted our payments to be at like this much per month, and they were pretty good, and we were able to kind of lock in our rate pretty quickly, because I knew the way things are, they're just going up, and so we just kind of got it locked in, and so we have it for a 20-year loan for the remainder of everything, and then we, with no like prepayment penalty or anything like that. So if we ever just decide to get her done, we do have that option, which is always nice. But yeah, no, I think it worked out well, and they were good. We did do the financing through one of their people that they suggested, and it seemed to everything went smoothly with that as well. Still waiting on kind of the follow-up documents and whatnot to be able to hopefully set up like things like auto pays and all that jazz. But yeah, no, it was pretty good.
Okay, cool. And then my last question, unless Todd or May has a question for you, is now that you're an owner, and you just picked up, what advice would you give to someone else that is about to pick up their van?
Do your research. Know what you're getting. Just take the time to scroll through the forums, and the manual is on the Storyteller website. I read that thing probably 5 times front to back. Just prior to going to pick it up, just just to make myself aware of just the ins and outs, and that way it preps you for questions to ask, and kind of knowing what you're looking for, and kind of familiarizing yourself with if there are any known issues, you can say, hey, I know this has been an issue with others, I want to see if it's an issue with this one, and then you just know that, and you don't get blindsided a couple hours down the road by saying, oh, what is this, and how do I operate it, and what do I do, and because yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of the dealers and whatnot, they're probably going to be really good up until the point you drive it off the lot, and and then that might be a little more challenging to get input after the fact, but that would definitely be my biggest recommendation, I would say.
Okay, cool. Todd, May, do you guys have any questions or comments?
Did you have any trouble registering it in Colorado? I'd heard a few instances of people having a hard time in Colorado.
Well, we actually haven't gone through that process yet. That's on next week's docket. We're actually flying to Nashville tomorrow for our nephew's graduation. So we've had a lot of odds and ends, kind of going on in the meantime. So we've been saving that for when we get back and get a little more settled in. But now, yeah, we know we kind of bracing ourselves a little bit for that. But and supposedly we had the option to register it in New Mexico, but we just, I don't know, we didn't feel fully comfortable or confident that was the right path to go. They said it was fully legit, but it was, again, just something that just didn't feel or seem right with us. And then, since we do travel, so much like as musicians, it's like if we ever got pulled over and it's like our driver's license was different than our, the license plate, it's just like, nah, that doesn't make sense, for us.
Sure.
So yeah, we're definitely, we know it's going to be another high ticket item, but that's part of the things of owning something so nice.
Yeah. True.
May, did you have any questions or comments?
I just had a thought, actually, now that I've had the van for almost a year, and then listening to Cie just and his experience, and then again, like all the forums and different people having different experiences. But I noticed that a lot of people are getting notification that their van is coming, like within a week, and that like we were told September of 2021. We got a call like June 5th, and they wanted us to come on the 8th to Oregon, and we're in California. And I'm like, I have a 3-year-old kid. Like, I can't, it's not that simple. So we have to move some chess pieces around, but a huge portion, like we did our financing outside. And so outside of the dealer. And so at first we had done it like pretty much right after we had put the deposit down. I said to my husband, I was like, why did we do this? Like, it's so early. But now that I've heard, your story, Cie, and then other people, and maybe it's just a sampling thing, but maybe other people have like a lot more lead time for all these big issues like insurance and financing. It's probably a good idea to, like, if you're really serious about it and you put the deposit down, you probably want to start working on that stuff right away. I mean, maybe now it's different since the wait times are so long, but yeah, that thought just sort of popped up in my head. Nothing specific to your experience though, Cie, obviously.
All right. Well, I mean, that's a good thought though, because I don't know. I think if you have a deposit down and you get that phone call out of nowhere and someone dropped out and you're next in line or something and you get bumped up, it's like, it'd be nice to be ready and have everything, your T's crossed and your I's dotted, and be able to purchase that bad boy. But, I do have one last question. Sorry, Cie. What did you, or have you guys named the beast yet?
We did. We named her Auto Mira. So
okay.
Yes, the $1 million highway near us was built by a gentleman named Otto Mears, and but we wanted the van to be our last van was Jack the van, so we decided we wanted a female van this go around, but we like the name Otto, and we're like, Otto could be a girl, so we just went with that, and then we also like the initials of OM being Ohm, and so just kind of had it felt right, so we were like, yeah, that works.
That's cool. I like it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So I like to close out every podcast with the last infamous question, which is, now that you're an owner, it might be a little bit different for you, but what does it mean for you to be part of this donation family?
It's just I think a level of excitement of just being involved in the community, and it's like living in this area, we have definitely seen them in passing, prior to owning one, and have always gotten at that little level of excitement, and even just seeing one, and now even just in the past week and a half, the number of people that have friends and neighbors and whatnot that are really like, hey, can we come see your van? Is pretty cool. It's definitely an eye catcher, and the type of vehicle that I think really draws some attention that people get excited about. And so we're excited just to be able to go on new adventures, and hopefully see more folks around as we travel as well.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks again for coming back on, Cie. It's great to hear that your delivery went very well and you've only had like minor issues. And thanks for coming back on, Mai and Todd, for hearing how Cie's delivery went. And as usual, Todd, you have like great advice in regards to how the van works. I'm pretty sure you should open up your own little like side gig or side hustle on that, but anyway.
No, the forum's a good place for it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyways, I appreciate you guys coming back, and best of luck to you. STO Nation is a production of Park Media. The executive producer is Younghwa Kim. The audio engineer is
Stephen Grasso.
The marketing director is
Guillaume Golson.
The original music and artist is done by
Jason Walsmith.
The sound designer is
Lorenzo Interiano.
And the webmaster is
Peng Shi.
Without any of these people, this podcast couldn't happen, so a big, huge thank you. And a big, huge thank you to you, the listener. If you like this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a 5-star review. This is Younghwa with STO Nation, and I can't wait to share the road with you.